There are businesses that start because somebody sees a market opportunity. And then there are businesses that start because somebody sees people not being served the way that they should be. My guest today, Trent Maddox, falls into that second category. Trent and I have gotten to know each other over the last several months, and one thing that has always stood out to me is that he asks a lot of questions. But underneath those questions is a genuine desire to understand people. His own path has taken some unexpected turns. He played college football, spent a year as a graduate assistant at Ashland University, thinking football might become his career, then found himself working directly with students as an intervention specialist. Today, he's leading Abide Care Services in Ashland, Ohio, an organization built around a pretty simple but powerful idea. People deserve to be known, valued, loved, and served with excellence. So today, I don't want to just talk about a new company. I want to talk about the young man behind it, what he's seeing in his community, what families are facing that most of us probably never think about, and what happens when somebody decides to actually do something about it. Trent, what's happening, brother? Thanks for joining me.
Gordy, thanks for having me. Excited to talk and share a little bit about what we're doing.
Absolutely. Hey, right off the bat, you probably gauged this, or anybody listening gauged this from the intro here, but I want to talk about when we first met. One of the things I noticed right off the bat was that you probably ask a lot more questions than I do, which says something about you in a good way. Curiosity is what it speaks to me. Like, talk to me about that curiosity that you have. Where does that come from?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a lot of value to add, and so I love to do way more listening than I like to do talking. So this might be a little bit more uncomfortable for me. I might start asking you some questions. But yeah, I think everybody has a story to tell and everybody has valuable input to add. And so when we can just seek to learn from one another, man, it's such a joy. And so it was great meeting you for the first time, and super excited just to continue that relationship that we have.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And you're still pretty young, but you've already gone through, playing college football, working as a grad assistant to special education. Now you're in a leadership role, entrepreneurship. And man, that's a lot in a short window. And if somebody had told the 18-year-old version of Trent, this is what you're going to be doing, today, what would you have said to that person?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think part of me would be, first of all, pretty scared. It just is uncomfortable. I grew up in a household where both my parents have been educators my entire life, and so the service of people has just been in education. So if you said, "Hey, Trent, you're going to go to college for 4 years and pursue a degree as an intervention specialist and use it for 1 year, and then all of a sudden you're going to do something that you've never dreamed about in your wildest dreams." I think the first thing that I would be like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. But also I think I'd be really excited because serving the people with intellectual and developmental disabilities is something that's just been something I've been passionate about my entire life. It's been less of a career path and more of a life calling. And so I think I would also just be stoked to say, wow, that actually exists. The service of the IDD community actually is greater than just public education. And so I think it's something that I would both equally be a little bit cautious about and maybe scared, but also something that I'd be really excited about.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that inflection point. There was a genuine moment or season that you thought football might be it, right? And then something changed. So what was that particular moment, if you would, where all of a sudden, you realized that your life was heading in a completely different direction than what you initially thought?
Yeah. I think for my entire life, sports has been what my life has been about. I was involved in football, basketball, and baseball since the time that I can remember. And I remember my junior year of high school, football was really hard, and I really wanted to, be the starting quarterback on my football team, and that's just not what was happening. And fast forward 4 years later, I also wanted to be the starting quarterback of the college football team that I was playing for, and that wasn't happening because genuinely there's guys who are better than me. And I think the Lord really taught me, hey, there is value in every single role that you play. And how can you seek to add value, whether you're the starting quarterback who's going to get the most praise and attention, or you're going to be the third string quarterback who is not gonna play, but what type of value can you add? And I think that has served me well as we move into this role where, hey,
Yeah.
listen, like the job that I have isn't everything, but adding value to people's lives and serving one another is something that is always going to be of value. And
All right.
so I think it's a sweet opportunity to kind of take what those things that I've learned, even in some hard times of my life, and really kind of use them for the good as we step into something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I can imagine that there has to be some similarities between, being a part of a football program and culturally what you're trying to build over with Abide Care Services. Some things that come, I don't want to speak for you, but I think of like accountability. I think of trust. I think of, knowing your role, depending on people. Like, what would you say are the similarities between that, a football program, let's say, being a part of a culture like that, and what you're trying to build over here?
Yeah, they say football is the ultimate team sport. You have 11 guys on the field at one time, and everybody has a role. And I think that's very true, not only in the business world, but also in life, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you try to run a play and you're throwing a max protect pass, and your right tackle just absolutely whiffs, and
Okay.
all of a sudden you got a second and a half to be able to throw the football. I mean, you're not going to be able to get it very far. And I think that's the same picture that we get to experience in life as well, right? Like, we all have a job to do. We all have a role to play, whether that's in our homes or whether that's in the work that we do. Learning to foster everybody's skills and talents and abilities and use them for the greater good is something that's really exciting for me.
Yeah.
You're never gonna put a 300-pound right tackle out there and play running back, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean that 300-pound tackle doesn't have unbelievable value for a team. And
Absolutely.
so just because somebody might not be forward facing in the front of a business, that doesn't mean that they don't have value, because there's people who need to be able to be behind the scenes helping, and really talented in whether that's billing or processes or whatever that might be. I think finding those people's talents and abilities is really important, because we're only stronger together. And that's really one of our core values. We really believe that we achieve more together, and that we build strength on the skills and talents of one another.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. That's amazing. It makes me think of like the inception of all this. So before Abide Care Services was a business, you were an intervention specialist, like you mentioned, and working directly with these students and families. So, like, when did you realize that there's like a real challenge that exists here after students leave school? Like, what was that sparked?
Yeah. It was really probably in my first, David, the man that I'm working with, it really began in the first conversation. To make a long story short, we both met on a plane that we both weren't supposed to be on. And David has been in the IDD caretaking world for a long time and really has a heart to serve. And I really got the opportunity to pick his brain and figure out and learn about, hey, what is this that you're talking about? I didn't really know. And so he was telling me about all the things that they do, and that he has done in the past. And as I moved into public education, I saw more of it. I think I kind of saw it from a different perspective, or with a different lens, where there's a life after education. And the question is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do after that? And so I had the opportunity to teach what we would call a transitions class. So it's really just fostering those skills and abilities for students who are on IEPs, that are going to kind of serve them outside of school and as they graduate, right? So it's really like interview skills, budgeting, how to find a job, what happens when you work at a job, how do you communicate with your coworkers, all of that kind of stuff. And as we kind of had those conversations, I realized there's a lot of people who aren't really, or students who are not really thinking about these things quite yet, right? Like, what does it look like for me to be a valuable member of society? And it was a really cool opportunity to kind of lean into that as I was still in education to kind of see those needs and meet them. But now that we get to uh, really participate in that, it's something that I am really excited about doing.
Yeah. And you once described in a previous conversation, you were describing families who they're faced with some big decisions, difficult choices, sometimes even having to decide in this kind of a transition period, like whether a parent quits their job or whether they, can't find reliable care. Put us in the family's shoes, if you could, for just a minute, and talk through like what that kind of a decision looks like for somebody in that situation.
Yeah, I'm sure it's heavy. Obviously want to be careful because uh, I I have never had that experience before, right? And so um, what I would say is, man, I feel like it's heavy, right? Where do you
Mhm.
draw the line of, man, I really believe that my son or daughter deserves quality care. Um, and that, yeah, either means that we go and allow someone into our house to be able to provide those services, or
Mhm.
I either quit my job or take something that might be part-time so I can provide services for them, right? to
Yeah.
to invite somebody into your house is really trusting, right?
Right. Right.
They almost become part of your family.
Mhm.
And so families are faced with that decision of, okay, do I allow somebody who I might not know and take a chance on them, to invite them into my house to really be a part of our family, or do I take that load upon myself? And sometimes when people take that upon themselves, right, they're home 24/7. They are on the clock 24/7, whether they're being paid for it or not.
Right.
That's their job, and sometimes receiving respite is something that's really hard. And so what we really desire to do, at Abide Care Services, is really just foster that relationship with families and the people that we're serving. We want to help them to be comfortable and confident that we're there to serve them, and we're there to really impact and change and uh, help them live a life of meaning. And so we know that that's not light. As I started
Yeah.
with, it's a heavy thing, right? An adult person coming into your house and being a part of your family. And so we want to be very aware of that, and we want to make sure that we are very intentional in the way that we approach those situations.
Yeah. No, that brings us to kind of what we've been alluding to this whole time. We've been mentioning Abide Care Services and what this actually means. You've done a wonderful job unpacking, the heart behind it, I believe, and how it's not just individual, but it encompasses the family as a whole as well. Um, I want you to share, if you could, like, why did you decide, or not why did you decide, but yeah, maybe that's the thing. Why did you decide that recognizing the problem wasn't enough and that something had to be done about it, and so you stepped into it yourself? Which might be kind of a loaded question, but
Yeah. Um, Man, I believe deeply that people, and specifically people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as their families, deserve to be served, and not just served. They deserve to be served really well.
okay.
Um, there's there's a there's I think a part of me that I mentioned that, like, man, this has been a life calling, where my heart has just been burdened for these people. And I think it's really important that they're served well. And as I mentioned earlier, thought that was going to be public education for me for
Uh-huh.
for my entire life. And David and I stayed in contact for a couple of years, and David reached back out and presented my wife and I with an opportunity to be
Huh.
able to kind of move in this direction. And we were really excited about just, their heart for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and how they were able to empower us to be able to serve them. And so ultimately all of this kind of boils down to the service of people.
Okay.
And if we're going to do it, we got to do it well.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, it wasn't something that I was ever planning to do. It's
Okay.
something that kind of fell in my lap, and kind of in the Lord's goodness and grace to us has just kind of directed our paths and made them straight and given us a platform and opportunity to serve people and hopefully to serve them well.
Yeah, which I think you're already hitting it with the splash, as we're going into this. And I want to talk about the word itself, abide. I don't think that was chosen randomly. Not sure exactly what the story is behind it, but what does that mean for you personally when you're thinking of abide care services or abide? Because I think this is the first time I've actually heard a business with that word in it. So you might have something there.
Yeah, good question. So, Jesus changed my life when I was 18 years old. And although that, I've had a heart for service my entire life, that kind of heart changed and shifted when I was 18 and began reading the Bible. And one of the first things that I kind of even remember reading was John 15. I sat and read the Gospels, and Jesus talks about, I'm the vine, you are the branches. And
Okay.
Jesus talks about how, man, we gather a source, life from himself, Jesus as the source, right?
Okay.
Like we receive when we remain. Abide is kind of translated in a couple different ways, but remain would be the one that we would probably choose. And it's like, first and foremost, I believe it's unbelievably important for us to remain in relationship with the Lord. And that's where we draw our life. I don't think that we will provide great services apart from our desire to be in relationship with the Lord. So I think that's kind of the first part for us there.
Yeah.
The other thing is, man, we believe it's really important to remain or dwell with the people and the families that we're serving, right? That we hope that our relationship that we share with them is not just for a season, and it's not just for some time, but it's something that is long lasting, and it's for years to come, and people's lives and families might even look different because of the services that we provide for them. So it's kind of twofold for us, where we know that our source of life is found in the Lord, but we also want to be a source of life for the people that we're serving.
Yeah, and I think that's reflected in something else that you said that I like to dub kind of one-liners, right? They're these like power phrases. I don't know if you notice yourself saying them sometimes, but in our conversations, I've heard you drop these things sometimes, and I know where you're getting it from, I believe, but I want to mention one of them, which is something that you mentioned in how you're serving people and what you want it to feel like, and that's fully known and fully loved, right? A person and a family. Sure. What does that look like, I would say, in practice or in practical terms for actual care for a family?
Yeah, I think at the very beginning, you have to fully understand the needs that people have, and that might look different from person to person and family to family, and it stems from, right, we're going to keep coming back to the Lord is in the Lord. Like, man, this God knows us completely. He knows us better than we even know ourselves. He knows the number of hairs on our head. But he also knows our weaknesses and how we've fallen short, yet he still fully loves us. And I think our desire is to really serve people well. We first must need to know them, right? What makes them tick? What are they excited about, right? We talk about at Abide Care Services, we want to provide support beyond the ISP, right? Which is the plan that's placed for the person that we're serving, right? We want to go beyond that to figure out, hey, what is important to you? What are your life goals? What do you want to work towards? So I think first of all, we need to seek to fully know the person as well as their families or their loved ones or the people that are important to them. And I think the second part, and I think probably more importantly, is the fully loved, right? In the English language, we use the word love and we kind of throw it around, right? I love football. I love sports. But I also love my wife, right? But I don't love football and sports the same way I love my wife. And so in the Greek, there's a word that's that's called agape, and it's translated to love for us, but it's a self-denying love that seeks to meet the needs of others
Okay.
before themselves without any expectation of anything in return. And that's our heart.
Okay.
We desire to first seek to meet the needs of other people, but also not seek anything in return just because we believe that it's important.
Well, yeah, that's insightful. I want to flip this a little bit in light of what you just said here, and asking like what families should reasonably expect from a care provider that maybe they've been conditioned not to expect. Because it sounds like you're like challenging the status quo of what people have been typically expectant of. And so what would you say that looks like? Like some things they might not even have expected it, but all of a sudden you're coming in and saying, yeah, you deserve to be approached in this manner. You deserve to be known. You deserve to be loved. And I'm gonna do it that way. So unpack that a little bit if you could.
Sure. Yeah. For us, it kind of looks a couple different ways. I think something that we've been kind of made aware of is communication has not always been something that's been positive or easy with providers. And so
Mm,
a promise that we make to people that are working at county boards or people that we're serving, the people or their families and loved ones, like we promise if you reach out to us via text, phone call, email, whatever that might be to somebody at Abide Care Services, you will have a response from us within 24 hours or one business day. We think
mm,
it's really important that we communicate clearly and effectively with people. And even if that's hey, we've got your message, our team is working on it. We want you to know that, hey, this is like, you are important to us. And so we are going to clearly and effectively communicate with you. And I think the second thing is dependability. You know, sometimes I feel like it's easy to promise things that you're not going to be able to uphold.
yeah.
And we don't think that's loving. We
Right.
don't think that that is actually the service of people. And so
Yeah.
we're going to be dependable and reliable. And if we don't have the capacity to serve someone, we're going to find a way to be able
Okay.
to do that.
Yeah.
But we're going to clearly communicate that to you, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have a DSP or direct support professional that aligns with the schedule or the timing, like we are going to go and try to find someone to be able to do that for you because we believe that you deserve to be cared for, right? But we're not going to onboard or intake somebody who we don't have the capacity to serve quite yet. And so we think that's also really important as well, is just the open and clear communication of, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're working on. This is where, hey, even though we don't have the person right now, we're going to go out and find the person to be able to serve you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I can see why David saw some greatness in you in what you shared. No, not trying to gas you up, bro. I think that I think it's obvious, what's on you, and I think this is phenomenal. You stepping into leadership at the stage that you're stepping into, serving vulnerable people and communities. It's a big responsibility. Has the weight of that ever, like, I guess, overwhelmed you in some sense or scared you a bit? And if so, like, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I'm extremely unworthy. Quite honestly, I'm extremely unworthy of the opportunity that I've been given. But somebody has recently told me, man, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And um, I think my entire life, as we look back in my entire life, man, it's been something that I've been really excited about doing. It's just the service of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I don't know how the Lord is going to work all of these things out. And I think often I find myself worrying about those things,
Wow.
naturally as humans, right? Like, um, I feel like I sometimes believe that I'm stronger than I am, and I sometimes believe that I have more power and influence than I actually do. And I think I'm quickly reminded of the fact that, man, I'm weak, and I have my hope is the fact that I serve an eternal God that uh, is is my strength. And is the one who works all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes. So, man, I think I can say, yes, I think about those things all the time. And I'm extremely unworthy, but at the same time, um, I have been given an opportunity uh, that is an extremely a cool blessing that, um, man, even though I feel this way, man, the Lord prepares us and equips us
Yeah. I think
for
with that
these.
perspective, it's easy to say yes,
Yeah,
right? When you have that perspective.
yeah,
Just, and
that's true.
speaking of yeses too, though, there's another yes that you said yes to that is probably, I want to say, equally as important here. That's your spouse, right? That's
Yeah.
your wife. Like she's in a similar field, right? And
Mhm.
I don't know the whole logistics behind, her background and whatnot, but I have to imagine with the little bit that you've shared that that's probably pretty instrumental in what you're walking into, and
Mhm.
having somebody, at home that understands
Mhm.
these families, that understands the people you're serving, etc. And fairly newly married in a sense, right, as well. So
Very newly married.
yeah, how long have you been married for?
Just over a year. We just
Okay,
celebrated our 1 year anniversary in July. So
congrats.
yes,
That's
thank you.
that's awesome. So like this is a lot then. This is a
Mhm.
whole lot to be juggling here, right? But
Mhm.
I think that you guys have something that is going to be strengthening one another as you're both walking together and doing this thing. Like, what are you learning about the process of dually protecting your marriage while
Mhm.
building something that you're deeply passionate about?
Yeah. Somebody says I love to just listen to podcasts and stuff. So I probably have too much podcast information in my head. But I listened to one that it was a pastor who was talking about marriage, and you either marry an anchor or a launch pad, right?
Mm,
Um,
good.
someone who kind of it might feel stable, but maybe like drag you down or pull you down.
Um,
Or a launch pad, someone who says, "Hey, like, go do this." And I'm
yeah.
thankful that I have married first of all, beautiful wife who is a launch pad, right?
Uh,
Who has been really supportive of this. I think it's funny. She has been the biggest um, critic in as we build this, but
mhm,
also my biggest supporter, which has been really
yeah.
sweet. And I'm so thankful that she has that background. It's so awesome that we can share in our love for these people and these families. And I hope that one day she'll be able to join us as we serve these people. But yeah, I'm super thankful that she is a launch pad and has really been an unbelievable encouragement for me as we kind of build something from the ground up and
Right.
have a lot to learn and a long way to go, but are really excited to be able to do it together.
Yeah. That's what's up. You know, speaking of this newly found, I guess, season of your life together, and you guys are set up home base in and around the Ashland area, Ashland, Ohio, right? So why Ashland? Considered home, but
Yeah.
what particularly struck you about building something specifically in this community?
Yeah. So both, her name is Morgan. Both Morgan and I don't ever call her Morgan. I call her Mo. So both Mo and I don't. That sounded weird coming out of my mouth. Uh, Both Mo and I attended Ashland University and got our
Okay.
degrees in special education there, and really decided to stay here primarily for the people. We really felt called to stay here because of the people that were here, and obviously took jobs as intervention specialists, and um, yeah, feel called to stay here for the very same reason, right? For the people, and I think there is a need for the service line that we are providing called Homemaker Personal Care that really
Mm,
goes into the homes to allow people to live and grow to live more independently, and whether that's grocery shopping or cooking or cleaning or going to community events or whatever that might be. Um, we saw a need for those things here in Ashland and also surrounding areas too. And so our hope is just to see a need in the community and meet it. Right. We're not in the business of just doing something just to do it. Like our hope is that this is a need that we see, and finding a way to meet it is really important to us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I could tell that you're a builder, you're a visionary, you're somebody that thinks big, and, you got the perfect partner that's going to help you launch into that stratosphere. Today we're talking about Abide Care Services in Ashland, Ohio, but how big is the vision in your head?
Yeah, that's actually something that like David and Brian and Gina, the people that I've been working with at Apex, have really challenged me. And because for, like I've mentioned a couple times, for so long, for probably 22 years of my life, public education has been it for me, right? Like
Sure.
this is what I was thinking about. And so they've really challenged my vision. So our vision right now is to become a trusted care agency across Ohio. Um, that's right now. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens. I think when we scale, we want to scale well. And I'm thankful for the people at Apex who are helping us with this, because man, we don't want to go to a place that we're just going to provide services that are just okay,
Yeah.
or just, hey, this is just kind of what we've experienced in other places too. So when we scale, we want to do it well, and we want to make sure that we have the right people and the right seats, and people who are excited about doing what we're doing. And so, man, my hope is that we can get as big as possible, because that means the service of people is great.
Yeah.
But with that, I think it comes with building a really solid foundation. So our hope is that we build a solid foundation in the area that we're in right now. And then hopefully in the next coming years that we're able to continue serving people well. And that might be in different areas of Ohio. It might be in different states, whatever that might be. But our hope is no matter where we're at, we're doing it really well.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're sharing a lot about building this vision together. What about what it's building you into becoming? Like, what do you hope this builds you into? Or who do you hope this builds you into, I should say?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I hope that at the end of all of this, I get to sit back and be thankful for the work that we've been able to do, right? And I hope that we are able to look back on our lives and say, man, it has been so cool serving people. And man, so I hope it grows me into a great father, right? Like my wife and I both hope to have some mini me's running around, and we hope that is possible. And in that, like I hope that is deeply influential on our kids, right? I hope that one day our kids get to be a part of the thing that we're building right now, and that they have a heart for service because of the people that they've been around their entire life. We hope that I hope that we get to impact people for the gospel, and whether that's people we're working with as DSPs, or administrators, or families, or people that we're serving, man, like I hope that we get to impact people for the gospel. And so ultimately, man, my greatest hope in all of this is that it becomes less about me and more about the service of people.
Hey.
And I think quite naturally, right, like we desire to be the one that's praised, and we desire to be the one that's honored. Right. And I think at the end of all of this, I hope that we can look back and say, man, there is something to say about Abide Care Services, and that is that they serve people really well. And it's evidence that they have a higher purpose that's greater than themselves. And in this, I hope that, I just grow to realize more of my insufficiency, and grow in the knowledge and the sufficiency of Christ. So,
well, I want to give you an opportunity also to speak to the person that's going to come across this in and around the Ashland, Ohio area, or maybe beyond that, is searching for help and wondering if somebody actually understands what they're carrying, the weight of what they're carrying, what would you say directly to them, to that person that's listening right now?
Yeah. The first thing that I would say is that we see you, and we desire to help you. We desire to serve you in a way that you've never been served before. And so we hope that you give us the opportunity to show you that, and not only to show you that, but to tell you about that, right? We would love the opportunity to sit with you and learn about the things that you are needing and the ways that we can meet those needs, because we really desire to see needs in families and meet them. And we understand that requires some help sometimes. And you've got jobs and you've got other kids to take care of and all of those types of things. And so our hope is that we can lighten the burden of what you're experiencing at home, and not only just lighten the burden, not only just provide services for you, but to provide meaning and impact in your family's lives. And we would just love the opportunity to sit with you and talk with you, and hear about your story, and figure out a way that we can best serve you guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Trent Maddox, Director of Abide Care Services in Ashland, Ohio. And Trent, one of the things that I appreciate about you at Tubman, getting to know you, is that it's not just something that you're trying to build here that we're talking about. This is something that you genuinely want to steward well. And I think people are hearing that today. So, brother, I'm excited for you in the season that you're in this chapter. Appreciate you a ton. Thanks for joining me.
Gordy, you're the man. Thanks for having me on.
You got it.